Hi, welcome to Practical Wisdom Stories. My name is Nikki Kleppel. I'm your host, and I'm so excited for you all to meet Pooja Sund. She is one of my original kind of old favorites, I guess. I know it's like a mom, I shouldn't have favorites, but somebody as a client who she's taken several different programs with me, and she's also partnered as a leader with Women at Microsoft board. And it's so fun to have witnessed her growth and her applying all the leadership and the coaching and speaking and everything that we've developed in working together many years. And so just wanted to welcome you. Pooja, let's first of all start with, childhood stories say so much about like how we find our superpower and appreciate those unique talents that we have. So what is a story from your childhood that it was a defining moment for you?
I'll give you a bonus. I'll share two stories. Number one, that I often try to tie to the leadership role that I'm playing is the story around vision and the story around clarity. So I remember growing up, my mom was a government teacher and we were 5 siblings. So I remember my mom had a notebook, and every morning she was opening that notebook, was looking at the first page of that notebook. On that, she had all of our kids' names, and with that name, she had a proper education. So, which degree she would be willing to give it to that kid, because she would like to inspire each one of us to do their masters. And I remember whatever she wrote in there, it was not like she didn't give us an option. Somehow, our careers aligned themselves to what she wrote there. So what that told me was, throughout my career, whenever I was thinking that I want to do something, I started visualizing that thing in my mind. So you might have heard of people saying, what you believe is what you become. So I started dreaming. I started thinking that this is already happening and things would start happening, manifesting itself. So having a clear vision, taking actions to achieve that vision, and thinking about it all the time would help you get there. So dream big, achieve big, start manifest, and start taking actions. Things will manifest itself.
Oh, absolutely. I've been a big believer in the law of attraction, and almost like every religion and culture has some kind of teaching or philosophy around this idea of abundance over scarcity. And one of my favorite books is The Alchemist. And
yes.
Paulo Coelho has this quote.
I love it.
That says, the universe conspires to help you reach your dreams, when you just you move boldly towards that. So thank you for proving it so true.
Yeah. And then the second story, Nikki, that I would like to share is around just having that passion in life and thinking that life is always going to give you so many opportunities. So when a door would close, there are going to be other doors that are going to open. So limitations exist in your mindset. When you are struck, when you are dealing with struggle, or when you are facing criticism, do not downplay your game. Just look outside the box and you would find opportunities. So growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor. And I tried my best. I did not get into the best college that I wanted to get in. And I remember on that day, I was really crying. And I was like, what has this step made my life? Or I was not expecting that to happen. And I remember my mom coming to me and telling me that, life is full of opportunities. Sometimes the career that you would plan for yourself would not go as planned. You need to really look outside and beyond, and you need to really see that what you are passionate about. And I was always passionate about technology, finance, solving problems. And I was like, I'm going to do my MBA and I'll see where it's going to take me. And here I am, 14 years at Microsoft, and I would say I'm just blessed to be in a role that can help me blend my personal passion with the passion for data, finance, technology, and leading teams and people to be successful. So just find your passion. It doesn't need to be tied to one profession. It can be applied to wherever you are.
Yes. Your passion is so contagious, and it's like that gasoline that, helps a fire burn, that we see in you, that, that's one of those triggers that makes those passions and dreams come true. It's not just oh, hey, I've got a vision and a picture in mind, but again, it's like the emotion that of excitement that amplifies it. And we see that in you already. How do you
Thank
sustain
you.
such high energy and enthusiasm?
I would say I just think about people like you and others who inspire me, and there is a huge list of people that I normally follow on LinkedIn and on other social networks, and I would say it also boils down to just having that feeling. What are you grateful for? And I remember you doing that exercise with us back when we were doing a session together, which was at the beginning of the day. I tried to just take a pause and reflect on what are the things, what are my core values, and I'm going to always have them. So I'm already grateful. I have a life, I have a home, I have my kids, I have my husband, and I have a job that I really enjoy doing. And I can use this platform to give it back to community. So I feel like just moments of gratitude can bring that happiness, and happiness is the one that's going to lead to success. It's not the other way around.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, on one side, you are so optimistic and grateful. Life's not always easy. So what's a story where even maybe in a challenging time, you've still been able to cultivate that strength and that optimism?
I'll just give you an example of what happened recently. So during this COVID, during this pandemic, we all are going through situations that are not into our control. And I have seen extended friends, family, people passing away. And it just takes a toll on me. Personally, I feel like I am the loneliest person, because I feel like, what is the meaning of life on those days when I'm just going through this news of somebody passed away, and it takes me time to get through that phase. So I am realizing, I'm telling my brain at that time, even though I have been consistently a very positive and growth mindset person, I tend to go and slip into that zone where I feel like I want to be positive, but I'm not positive just because seeing the adversity and the things that are not in my control. So what brings me back is just being aware, mindfulness, being aware of what's happening around you. And it's okay not to be okay on certain days, as long as you can find a way to march forward. That gives me that resilience that, you know what, word has always come together, and we have always seen the light. One perfect thing that I tell myself all the time is, no matter what the circumstances are going to be, even though they're going to be beyond our control, sun is always going to come in, rainbows are going to be there, this nature is always there for everyone. So things are going to take time, but things are going to get better.
Thank you. That's something that's been really grounding for me in my personal and spiritual development too, is growing. I mean, I started growing vegetables now, but I've always grown flowers, and especially perennials. You know, there's something about, you know, I do my part to plant them, you know, nature, God, you know, does their part to let the water rain, let the sun shine, you know, and there's kind of this cooperation with nature that I feel like spills over into other areas of life. So yeah. You know, thanks for
totally hear you
reminding us of that. That's so true. Which is also kind of an interesting too, is an element of like equality, you know, especially right now our country's kind of going through like a revolution. And, you know, that's one thing I always think about too, is, you know, the sun is the same regardless if it's men or women, or, you know, what the color of our skin is. I think your perspective that you bring applies to the mindset around like social justice and some of those issues too. What would you say to that?
I'll just say that all lives matter, and who are we to differentiate between people based on their gender diversity or the race or ethnicity? We are blessed. We have been given this life to do something and to leave a legacy. And what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? Do you want to just spend your life just taking care of yourself without thinking about what is the real value that you're going to offer to this world? So I feel like we all need to speak up. Silence is not an option here. We need to recognize and offer our support to other people and ask them questions. What can we do? And do your learning beforehand. What they have gone through is not an easy job to just think about it. So asking those questions, having those interactive discussions can help you understand a piece of it. And I'll give you an example. In one of our Women Microsoft LT, we brought up this topic. And I would say I got so emotional at the end, including other people, because everyone was sharing their stories, no matter if their skin color was white or black. This news, this is what's happening around the world. This has impacted everyone to a different extent. People need to show that they care for each other, and we are here in this together.
Pooja, one thing that you bring is such confidence and your ability to use your voice. How did you cultivate that?
I'll say a part of it, definitely a huge part of it, belongs to the way that my mom brought up ourselves, and to my dad. We always were given an opportunity to express ourselves. And that was a thing. We were discussing it throughout the day at our home. Whoever was bringing the topic, that person was given a chance first, and then all of us were there to just speak. And then I remember my mom telling me all the time, you need to focus on listening to others, because you tend to focus more on speaking part. And I didn't realize it until I entered into the professional world. And just like for the last 5 years, I have been truly focusing on active listening. And I can tell you, not just speaking, but active listening is what makes a great leader. So people who have already figured out one piece, let's say listening, they can amplify their game by learning how to speak up. And it's regardless of their style, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, find different venues to pass your information. Whether you can ping, you can send an email with your notes, you can have the conversation during a lunch break, or even in the hallway conversations, you can let other people know what you are thinking of, or you can send an IM message over Teams right then and there if you do not prefer to talk. But do not hold yourself. Don't hold your ideas to yourself, because guess what? Since you are holding, there are so many other people who are in the same boat. So why don't you be the champion and you be the voice for yourself and others? One analogy, Nikki, that I would like to share, that I use normally with my mentees, with my kids, and for myself at times too, when I'm not feeling at my best, is I'm driving my sports car, and the sports car is my career. So if I'm the one driving it, would I rather sit in the seat right next to the driver's seat, or would I sit in behind? I want to take my career where I want to take it. So I would rather sit in the front, would have that clarity, where do I want to go, and I'll use all of the modes that have been given to me by God, whether it's my voice, whether it's like by not speaking, but by just exhibiting that confidence to let other people know that there is so much better. There is so much in us that we can offer. You don't need to be an expert in a domain to share your knowledge and wisdom with others.
Thank you. I love how you mentioned, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be an expert. I think that is something that's like the imposter syndrome, is that perfectionist. So that's a very empowering message. The other thing that you did really well is to say, okay, start with what your strength is. If you're a good listener, then, speak up. And if you're a good speaker, listen up. Then that just lowers the barrier for like where to begin and where to get started. Tell us about your path, becoming more actively involved as an advocate, I guess, particularly for women.
So here is the thing. It is in my genes, and I know that what I'm gonna say is I'm not saying leaders are born. Leaders can definitely be made, but it is in my genes, because my grandma back then, and my great grandma was a teacher too, and she was an advocate for women. So education has built that foundation for us, where I feel like if I am coming across someone, and if I don't know that person, but that person has an opportunity when it comes to learning something, I cannot be quiet. I feel like I'm not doing justice by inspiring that person to take on that learning opportunity, because every single learning opportunity is going to give them that new mindset, new experience that is going to help them in their career. So I feel like if you have not come from this privileged background, just see where you are. What can you do to take your skill set to next level? And even if, let's say, you are at basic level, you can still share your experiences with other people who are just entering the workforce. If you are at an intermediate level, you be the coach or you be the mentor for the people who are at their basic level. And if you are at an advanced level, then you have a bigger responsibility to play, because you are not only just being the brand ambassador for your team, for your domain, or for your company, you are actually sharing that knowledge and learning from so many people in your network. So please, 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 learning is a skill that should keep going. Learning should never stop, no matter what is happening in the world.
Yeah, you're so curious. Thank you. You're also really gracious to give credit to your grandma, your great grandma, and also really embody that idea of servant leadership. Such a theme of our talk has been about helping others and like that duty that we have. And I guess, I feel like people kind of have this, they're torn between the voice in the head that says, I'm not enough, but I should be helping. So what either mantra or strategies have you employed to help you to mentor and to volunteer to become, on the board of the women at Microsoft?
There are a couple of things that have worked out really well. And since we are talking about this empathy and compassion, I do want to highlight that Jeff Weiner, who was the ex-CEO of LinkedIn, he was the one who took this step to next level. So there is a very minute difference between empathy and compassion. Empathy is feeling what others are going through. And compassion is not just feeling what others are going through. Do not put yourself into their shoes, but also think about what can you do to solve their problems or to bring them from where they are. And I felt like I was more into that bucket where when I was seeing people being very happy, I was getting happy for them. When I was seeing people very gloomy and they are disappointed, they don't know what's going on in their life, I was able to add positive value to it, but I was also feeling their pain. But then I realized in order to move the lever, I need to think about what can I do to take them out, to move them out from where they are. And then I started going on this journey of feeling compassion. And the moment you just tell your brain to just switch the gears, you would see that would come up in all the conversations. And that's a hallmark to be a leader. And leadership is not a title. You have to be authentic. And I have leveraged this skill and I've taken it to next level by just mentoring people. So let's say if people are asking me questions about, can you help us understand how do we create an impact here? What do we need to do in order to deal with this challenging situation? I am an authentic person. I'll share with them the situations that I have gone through. What could I have done better in those circumstances? Did I know about those things before? And I think just sharing that perspective with them helps them. And it helps me that there are people who are in that situation. So what can I do to just at my level, just share what I know? So I would feel like I'm giving that crash course. So I'm not just learning. I'm not selfish. I'm actually balancing the success with giving back to people. Terrific. So my advice to others would be the same. Even if you feel like you are starting your career, you can still start mentoring people. Go and mentor high schoolers. Go and mentor people who are in middle school. They are already going to be in STEM field. So inspiring them in terms of showing them what you are doing with technology can be helpful and can open eyes.
Yeah. The theme is like practical wisdom, and you've got that practical piece, which is take some action and do something. And then that wisdom is, the hope and just optimism that you bring. So thank you for being able to fuse both of those.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then I guess just the final thing is you're a great mom and you've talked about your own mom. So what is your favorite either parenting story or a life lesson that has helped you be a better mom?
I'll say this, and I'll correlate it to what you mentioned in the beginning, which was you said something about Pooja is one of my favorite. As a parent, you're not supposed to say that. So I'm going to use that and I'm going to take it to next level. So as a parent, what I have learned is each and every kid is going to be different. And the same concept applies to your team. Each and every person is going to be different. As long as you are fair, You are letting each kid and each team member be the better version of themselves. You are already on the right track. And I learn so much from them. I often feel like when I am in that teacher mode, I'm just giving them, I'm not listening, I'm not learning from them. But when I'm in the coach mode, rather than being an advice monster, I am actually telling them, first help me understand what did you get from this. And then I am enabling them to come up with a solution themselves. So I think that's a parenting lesson that I have been working on, and it's really working well. And second lesson that I learned from my kids was, since I'm coming from a family where teaching was sort of in the genes, I have always been great at giving big lectures. Like I can keep going on and on a topic when it comes to, oh, you need to study, you need to do this, that. So what, at the beginning of this year, I made a commitment in front of my kids and I said, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on it to an extent that you guys would not feel that I'm keep giving you guys lectures. So one thing that my son taught me, who is a middle schooler now, and he's 12 years old, he said, how about you try to concise and give us tidbits of information? So rather than giving them big lectures, now have come down to what are my key takeaways that I want them to learn. So my lectures to them are 2 minutes, max 3 minutes. They are not even 5 minutes. And towards the end, when I'm done, I'm asking them, what do you think is the most useful thing for you in that conversation? Either that, or I'm asking them, can you paraphrase what you heard?
Love that. Yeah.
And this is working out. So I'm like, this is the same approach that I'm applying to my team members, and it's helping me out.
Oh, amazing. If you're going to summarize then, what is that one piece of practical wisdom to make sure that we walk away with a concise lesson from you?
Learning should never stop. Embrace growth mindset and keep learning, keep growing, keep sharing.
Perfect. And we can follow Pooja on LinkedIn. She posts insightful articles and journal prompts and ideas to help us to cultivate that curiosity, learning, and leadership. Thank you so much, Pooja.
Thank you, Nikki. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks, everyone.